Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca's Doing the Crew. I'm Rebecca and today we have a fall craft for y'all. So let's go over our supplies for our first craft today. We're going to need some scissors and hot glue. Also, we'll be using this craft kit to make a scarecrow from Dollar Tree. They also sell it in a turkey style. You can use either or. We'll need a sewing needle and some baker's twine or yarn. It's going to be very simple. It's not going to be hard sewing at all, I promise. Also, we'll need some accents like some sunflowers, and we'll need this antiquing wax and baby wipes. Or you can use a wet paper towel. It's really up to you. We'll need some paint brushes, and then I'll need an iron and some Dollar Tree iron-on vinyl, but that will be optional. We're also going to use some acorns and some wood beads for some accent, also some twine. And then we'll use these paint stirrers. You can use some Dollar Tree wood pieces if you like. Also, we'll use this dish drying mat from the Dollar Tree and some fall leaves. We'll need a razor blade to cut the wood with. And let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is put our scarecrow together. Like I said, these come in a scarecrow and a turkey style. It's really up to you which one you would like to use in this DIY. It's really easy to put it together. There's really not even any directions. You just follow the picture on the packaging. You just want to be mindful when you're gluing the straw to the hat that you are flipping the hat over so the straw looks like it's in the back behind the hat and that the hat is sitting up in the front on top of the head. So just be mindful of that. It's really easy. You just have to glue on the shirt and then the scarf. Then you'll glue the nose on, some straw at the top of the hat. Again, we flipped it over to do that. We'll flip it back to put the brim of the hat on. And I just glue one side at a time to make sure it lines up really well. It's kind of small and you get one chance here. If you mess up, it's kind of hard to pull it off. Then we're going to add the fall accent leaf. We'll add more in just a bit here. Flip the hat back over and glue on the rest of the hair, also which known as the straw. When you do the bangs, you want to make sure that you glue it far enough down on that edge that you're able to see it when you flip the hat back over, since the bangs are kind of small. And then, of course, you want to glue the hair to the sides. I check for placement before I glue it down to see if there's anything I need to fix. And once it's okay, then I just go ahead and glue the whole top portion on. And so far, our scarecrow is looking great. Now we're going to take this dish drying mat. The side with the pumpkins on it's really pretty, but the scarecrow gets lost in that side, which makes it hard to see him. So we decided to use the plain colored side for this craft. We're taking that baker's twine and a needle, and all we're doing is a very simple, like running style stitch. It's just, the basic stitch. You just go in and out, leaving a little space between each stitch. And what we're trying to do is give the illusion of like a homemade scarecrow with those stitches that you see. Um, that's what we're doing. So we're kind of getting twofold out of this part. We're attaching him to the tapestry, and we are getting that traditional scarecrow stitch look that we love. And that way we don't have to add a bunch of glue, especially with it being a felt scarecrow. Sometimes the hot glue gets a little thick, and depending on the color of the felt, you're able to see it through the felt, which I hate. So the stitching really helps to add it and give you that traditional look, and then not have a bunch of like extra buildup glue that you can see through it and everything like that. And it's just fun to add these little stitches. I love the way it looks when I was done. I was so excited with the way it turned out. It really gives a cute effect to have these stitch marks. And you don't have to stitch the whole thing on. So I did the scarf. I'll do a couple stitches for the nose. Think traditional scarecrow nose. We're going to do like 2 stitches on the top, 2 stitches on the side. You don't have to go all the way around. And then we'll add the stitches around the hat also. And then that's pretty much it. So I did add some accents to the scarecrow, like the leaf. I'll add a leaf and some acorns up there, and maybe some sunflowers to kind of dress them up a little bit, really give them that 3D effect off the back of this dish drying mat. And if you pick the right color, um, baker's twine, it blends in really well to that background as well. You can't see it. So I chose to put some lettering on mine. I'm going to use the Dollar Tree metallic vinyl in gold, and it's the iron-on foil. This is optional if you don't have a Cricut. Obviously, it's not a big deal. You can still use this iron-on vinyl. I wouldn't show you how to do this if you couldn't do it yourself without a Cricut. You can just use a razor blade and cut out the lettering. I've shown this before on my channel. You do not need a special machine to use the vinyl. You just need something to cut it out with. And I chose to use the letters to spell out the word fall. And then I wasn't really quite sure where I was going to put it, so I kind of mess around with it a little bit till I figure out exactly where I want it to be. And if you look at the Scarecrow, I actually had some yellow felt and my pinking shears. I cut a few more strips of yellow felt and layered the hair. And I think it really helped kind of fill in that area a little bit. So that's another option you can do if you have more felt. You can add some more straw for the hair. Once I've got that lettering in place, I just iron it down. And about 30 to 40 seconds later, I'm able to pull the carrier sheet off, which is this clear part. And my letters are now on the wall hanging. And then we want to add um, some stability to the top and the bottom, just make it look more like a wall art instead of a towel or a dish drying mat. So we're going to do that with our paint stirrers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to measure how far apart we need it. Then I cut those with the razor blade just by scoring it over and over again until I was about halfway through, and then I was able to snap it in half. Then I take my antiquing wax, I put a little bit on the wood pieces, I smear it out with the paintbrush, but then I take a damp towel or a baby wipe and I smooth out the rest of the antiquing wax, and then it gives a nice smooth finish by taking off the extra antiquing wax that we don't need. And then while that's drying, we're just going to make a hanger, and we're going to use these plain wood beads from Dollar Tree. They sell these quite often now throughout the year. It's pretty much a staple craft product at the Dollar Tree, so they're really easy to find. But we're just going to string up a string to create a hanger, and then once that's done, we'll just go ahead and glue this to one of the wood pieces that's going to go at the top of the sign that we're making. So I just use hot glue to attach it. You don't want to add too much hot glue, but a little bit to make sure it stays. And then you can see I've got the um, twine at the end of those beads hanging over just a little bit. We'll just fold that in and tape it to the hanger. And then once we have that all done and we add a little bit of extra glue to the twine, won't be able to see the extra twine. Then we'll just add some hot glue to that wood strip and line it up at the very top and then push down, holding it in place. You can even use some of those Dollar Tree clips to hold it while the glue starts to set up and dry. We'll do the exact same thing at the bottom, except obviously we're not adding the bead hanger. Down here, we're just going to add that wood strip that we stained for the bottom, and then we'll flip this whole thing over and do it one more time to the top and the bottom, adding the wood strips till we have the stability. It adds a little bit of weight to the bottom. It looks nice at the top, holding the hanger on, and I just love it. I'm adding those clips now to help hold it together while that glue dries. And then, of course, you can go in with some more accents. You want to add some raffia bows. You want to add some acorns and some leaves, maybe some more sunflowers. If you have that extra felt, you can add some extra straw for the hair. It's really up to you to dress it up and make it your own. But I thought this was kind of a fun twist on a Dollar Tree craft kit that comes already ready for you to put together, and they're not just for little kids. You can take those and make something really beautiful for yourself. So now let's go over our supplies for our second DIY today. We're going to be needing these supplies today. We'll need the tabletop mason jar signs in two sizes, the baby wipes again. We'll need some printer paper and some ribbon of your choice for both of the jars. We're also going to use some wood pieces like these wooden apples and wooden pumpkin stickers Also some paint and paintbrushes, cardstock for each of the mason jars. We'll need some Mod Podge and some material for the top of our jars, some twine and rubber bands, and then a printer so we can print out these tags. Feel free to take a screenshot of those and use those in your project. We'll need some scissors and hot glue. So let's get crafty. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to remove these metal accents off of the mason jar tabletop signs. You can keep this if you want, use it in a different craft later on down the road. We won't need that again for this craft. So then what we're going to do is just peel off that printed sticker that's on the top of both of these signs. And there's like this thin layer of cardboard with glue left behind. So I took a damp baby wipe. You could also use a paper towel. Just brush over the top of the sign, let it sit for about a minute, and then you're able to scrape that excess paper and glue right off of the sign, get it down to the bare MDF board, and it's ready to go. You can put anything on it at that point and not have to worry about it sticking. So then we're going to take our mason jars and our cardstock and trace around our jars on the cardstock, and then go ahead and cut those out with your scissors. So I'm using the red gingham, the red and white gingham for the large jar. And then for the smaller jar, I decided to go ahead and use the Dollar Tree cardstock, and it was a dark pumpkin spice orange looking plaid paper. And those come in a packet. There's like some Christmas paper. They have orange, and they are the smaller sheets of paper, but perfect size for this mason jar. So now that we've got our paper cut out, we're going to cut a large circle. And then I have pinking shears. If you don't have pinking shears, that's okay. You can just use regular scissors. And you're going to cut out this large circle. And this is going to be the top of our mason jar. So I actually traced around a small like dinner plate, a child-sized dinner plate for the circle. Then we'll take some Mod Podge and we're going to completely cover our large mason jar sign. And since we removed all of that old paper, it does want to suck it in just a little bit, that MDF board. So you'll want to put it on kind of thick. Then we will put our scrapbook paper on top. Now, if there's any paper hanging over the side, you can sand that off with an emery board or some sandpaper to get a nice smooth edge. We're going to do the same to the smaller sign, add the Mod Podge, and then add the construction paper. Just line it up as best you can. You can always trim it later. Okay, so then we'll print out our tags. So again, feel free to take a screenshot of the tags that I created here. Cut them out with scissors. You can just print them out in whatever size you like. You can change the sizes on your printer settings. Then we'll add some Mod Podge to the back. Again, these are just printed out on regular printer paper. And then we're going to put this right on top of our mason jar signs. And I did the apple butter and the pumpkin butter tags exactly the same size, even though they're on two different size jars. So if you notice the apple one, it goes just about to the edge. When I put the pumpkin spice one on with the Mod Podge, it pretty much goes over both sides. So all I did was went along with it and just fold that tag over the sides and then Mod Podge the sides down. And that way it just looks like the tag is wrapping around the sides of the jar. The only reason I didn't make the tag smaller is I knew it would wrap around the sides of the jar without hanging over. And I liked the width of the jar and the height and the tag. I just liked the way it looked, so I just left it as is. So then to get more of a finished look, you can paint the sides and the back of your jars if you like. Or you can just leave it as is. But I really wanted to paint mine. So I'm using the pumpkin spice Waverly paint for the orange one. And then I used, it's called like Tuscan Red folk art for the apple. Then we'll take that material we cut out in the circle on 2 rubber bands, and we're going to just rubber band the top of our sign. Then you can see I just bunch up the material to get those ripples. And then once I have it where I like it, then I'll go back in and tie this down with some twine. You want to start with the rubber band, that way you can position the material and get those cute little wavy pieces in it. If you glue it down right away, you won't be able to move the material and get those little ripples around the jar. So then we just wrap it with some twine about 3 or 4 times and tie it off with a knot. And that's covering up that rubber band. We just leave the rubber band on. Then I had these leftover tags from Christmas time. They were for the mini trees. They're like miniature ornaments for the trees. And if you don't have these, that's fine. Go ahead and use like popsicle sticks and you can layer them and create these little tags. If you have other tags, you can use those or you can just leave them off. It's really up to you. So we're taking one of those wooden apples and we're painting it the Tuscan red. And then I'll add a little dot of white to do kind of like a shiny part for the apple. And it's just to embellish our jar. And then again, we're going to do this really pretty yellow orange color topper for our mason jar. Adding some glue in the front and the back once we've got those little ripples worked out. And we'll wrap it with the twine, just like we did for the larger one. And then I take that pumpkin sticker and I painted it orange. I do some darker shadows to do the stripes of the pumpkin. And then on the tags, I wrote pumpkin butter and apple butter. And I used a paint marker. You can freehand use a Sharpie, print out a sticker. It's really up to you. Then we'll just add some twine to those tags and tie those to the top of the mason jar, adding it to the twine that's already there. And then I created a very simple bow that we can add to the top. And then we'll add our pumpkin sticker. I always try moving all the pieces around before I glue them down. I like to show that part in the video. I don't just go in and just start gluing things down. I always kind of try them out in different spots first because I might like them better somewhere else. It's so much easier to move them than it is to try to rip it off once you've glued it down. So always move them around and try it out first. Like this one, I decided to put the tags on the opposite side. And I add my bow, and then we'll add that apple right to the middle of the bow. And that's the 2 tabletop signs just reimagined. I love these so much. I think they're like one of my favorite things that I've made this year. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this craft with me today. I enjoyed showing you how to make them. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.